Well, let's see how it goes. So, yeah, I'll start with just an overview of self-inquiry dyads. Um, these dyads are something very mysterious. Um, Awakening, Kensho is something very mysterious. And we've at the Samadhi Center explored many different techniques and modalities over the years. These dyads are very unique. They're creating very sort of intense conditions, which very quickly start to bring up everything that is hidden in the unconscious. So, they're, I would say they're a catalyst for the path of awakening. They're a catalyst for the clearing process, the clearing of the mind, and not a shortcut. You still have to face whatever is in the unconscious. So, it's definitely not a shortcut, but for those who are ready, it is an amazing purification and creates these conditions of no escape for the egoic mind. So I'm going to run through how it works so you have the optimal experience on this app. First, when you go to selfinquirydyads.com, you're probably already logged in. If you're not logged in, you just log in. And then you click the Join Dyad button. You're going to be taken to a setup room. And in that setup room, you can check your video, make sure your correct microphone is activated, make sure you're kind of centered in your camera. And then you click Enter Dyad from that setup room. So we want to make sure we enter Dyad. Sometimes people just sit there waiting for something to happen. So important to click that Enter Dyad button. And if there's at the retreat, sometimes there's an even number of participants, sometimes there's an odd number. If it's an even number, everybody gets paired up nicely. What we usually do is we have a facilitator who is sort of the de-odder, who, if there's one person waiting for a partner, then you might get paired up with a facilitator, but you won't even really know that's happening. But and it is possible if somebody joins late or something happens, if you don't get paired up with a partner, then sometimes there's not much we can do about that if our de-odder is already with somebody and then somebody joins later. So that could happen, but it's unlikely. But if that happens, then it's just an opportunity to do solo self-inquiry for the 40 minutes or whatever you want to do. So in the dyad space, once you enter the dyad, you're going to see only your partner's video. So you won't see yourself. You'll be looking directly at your partner through the whole dyad. And there may or may not be a facilitator in your room. So you'll see in the top right corner, if a facilitator is there, their name will appear. And if you have a technical issue or you're not understanding the technique, you can, there is a little button to summon a facilitator as well. So at the actual retreat, there's going to be facilitators joining in the evenings. We have quite a few who are at Awaken the World who've been through the training program. So they'll be jumping into your rooms. And yeah, so yeah, if you want to summon the facilitator, there's that little button at the bottom of your screen that will be there in the app. So when you enter the room, we ask that you don't chat with your partner. you're going to be given a role right away. So the role, the computer will automatically determine whether you are going to be the inquirer or the witness. So you don't have to decide or think about it. So if you are the witness, then you're the one who will start everything off. So if you're the witness, you will deliver the imperative, tell me who you are, to your partner. So you just look into your partner's eyes and you say, tell me who you are. And yeah, there are several places on your screen that will, if you forget or if you don't see the message, there's a big message that flashes when you go in the room. It tells you if you're the witness or the inquirer. But if for some reason you forget or don't know if you miss that, it always tells you in the bottom left corner, it'll say you are the witness or you are the inquirer. So it's always, that information is always there. Also, if you scroll right to the bottom of your screen, it says it again. It says your name and who is the witness, who is the inquirer. So hopefully it's very clear. So if you're the witness, before giving the imperative, you want to really kind of feel your intention to truly want to know who this being is in front of you. You know, the inquiry is to find out who you are, to have a direct experience of who you are, but also, as the witness, you're saying, tell me who you are. And it's the same truth that is revealed. When you find out who you are, you also find out who everyone else is directly. So that intention to truly find out who your partner is just as important as your own inquiry. So you just connect to that intention to really want to know who this being is. And you look directly at them and you say, tell me who you are. And then as the witness, you just go into witnessing mode. There's nothing else you need to do. And then the inquirer goes into their inquiry. And it's important when you give the imperative. I'm just going to talk about that imperative and what it is. It's important not to change that. The imperative is a sort of command. It's like, tell me who you are. I want to know, tell me. Rather than saying, who are you? If you say, who are you? It's a question. It's not a command. And the question, it's very subtle, but it invites the mind to try to come up with an answer rather than leading you into this deeper, direct inquiry beyond the mind. So we don't want to say, who are you? We don't want, can you tell me who you are, or anything else? Just, tell me who you are. The command, and yeah. So it's an invitation for someone to authentically begin to communicate as their true self. So, so the person who is inquiring, the way the technique is structured, the technique is the person who is doing the inquiry, they receive that imperative and they intend to directly experience who they are. So the actual exact wording is intend to directly experience who you are. Or intend to directly experience your true nature. And directly just means not via the mind. So there's nothing for the mind to do in that moment. The mind can just relax. The mind can drop off in that moment, have a holiday, whatever, So, you know, quite often, people will say, how do I intend to directly experience? I don't get it. The mind is confused about that. And that's because the mind can't do it. There's nothing for the mind to do. So direct means direct. Just intend to experience, or you could say, get a sense of the beingness that is here, or the I amness that is present. Just notice consciousness, however you want to say it. These are all just pointers to that which is ever present. So that consciousness, that I amness, one of the ways I like to describe that is, it's just the sense that I am that has been with you your entire life. So it's been there as a little child, it's been there as a teenager growing up, in this body, this avatar that we're inhabiting. All of the phenomena in this character is changing through life. So all the characteristics and attributes, the body is changing, memories, our beliefs, all of that is changing. But this I amness doesn't change. It's just the sense, if you can feel back into when you were a little kid, there's a sense, looking out of the eyes that I exist. So it's just that pure beingness. It has no qualities other than it just is. There's a sense that I am. So when your partner says, "Tell me who you are," you just intend to directly experience that I amness. In different traditions, they say it different ways. You could say, be still and know. So let the mind just be still. Don't do anything. Don't try and make anything happen. Just be still and know directly that consciousness, that primordial awareness that is just here, that beingness. And then, so when we do that, one of two things will happen. Either we will directly experience our true nature, or something will come up in the mind body, which will sort of block or need to be cleared from the mind before we can experience our true nature. So if there's a direct experience, that's great. But more likely, especially at the beginning, there's this clearing process. So something will come up in the mind and body as a result of that inquiry. So whatever comes up in the mind and body, we just share that with our partner fully. So when you receive the imperative, you want to take time to directly experience. You want to let it land. And for different people, some people will want to go inward, maybe close your eyes. Others will just sort of, feel that I amness that's just present with the eyes open. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Your true nature just is as it is, whether the eyes are open or closed. It doesn't really matter. But really take time to directly experience, so you can, make it like a little meditation when you receive that imperative, and take as much time as you need for that. And we don't. One of the things that starts to happen is sometimes, people start reporting what's coming up in the mind and body right off the bat. The partner will say, "Tell me who you are," and then it's like a racehorse out of the gate, just taking off and reporting whatever's in the mind and body. But don't miss that direct inquiry part of it. Really take time to directly experience. And then what comes up as a result of that. And what comes up, there's no right or wrong to any of that as well. It could be thoughts, sensations, emotions, feelings, impressions. Maybe there's a laugh that comes, maybe a cry, memories, old traumas can come up. Anything can come up. It's quite surprising as we really start to do this more and more. You can feel, some people feel energy. You might feel energy moving. So any phenomena, it doesn't matter what happens as a result of that inquiry. We want to share that, convey that fully to our partner. And by doing that, that's how we clear the mind. In day-to-day life, we don't often get a chance to be received fully. Usually, when we communicate with another human being, we're being evaluated in some way. They're approving or disapproving or giving their opinion or responding in some way. So this is a unique situation, which is it's what allows us to clear the mind. It's having this neutral witness. The witness is just there, fully conscious, fully present, really listening to what's being shared, but without evaluating, without nodding or approval or disapproving or showing any sort of reaction. And this is really what allows the inquirer to be free to express and to clear the mind. These samskaras and these conditioned patterns that we're holding in the unconscious really they're incomplete experiences that we've had in life. We've been sort of shut down. The little this little free authentic child sometimes is just expressing, and then the world, our teachers or parents, friends, whatever it is, they react. And we learn to suppress this authentic ability to just speak from our true nature. So we want to reconnect with that little childlike essence. It's like in the Bible, they say to enter the kingdom of heaven, we become as little children. So that's really what this is. We're learning to drop this character filter that we've honed, and it's like armor that we've put on over that sensitive being, that sensitive heart that we all are. So this is a way back to that heart. So yeah, so we don't want to censor anything or censor any thoughts or beliefs, emotions. This is the place to just let it all come up. We're all in the same boat, doing the same thing here. And so usually the inquiry will be about 5 minutes long, typically. That's like a normal sort of sharing cycle. So the dyad period is 40 minutes long. There's going to be a countdown timer when you're in the dyad room. So, that you'll see the counter counting down from 40 minutes. And then there's a smaller counter, which is for your sharing cycle. So it's a 5 minute timer. And it's just there to remind you of generally how long you're taking. But don't get too hung up on the time. Don't worry about it too much. You're just going to be going back and forth roughly every 5 minutes between being the witness and the inquirer. But yeah, don't focus on the time. Go with the natural flow. And sometimes it'll be less, sometimes more. And we just want to have a general sense that we're there's sort of an even back and forth as the witness and the inquirer. So you don't want to take up all the time. If you're the inquirer, you don't want to take up all 40 minutes. And you also don't want to get off the hook too early, after 1 minute or 2 minutes, you think, oh, nothing's happening. Yeah, I'll just pass it off to my partner. That's too little. You want to really give it a chance to see what comes up as a result of that intention to directly experience who you are. And yeah, so I mentioned it's important that the witness remains totally neutral, no positive or negative body language. It doesn't mean we have to be rigid robots, like there are some times where we just can't help it, but generally we don't want to be giving a sense that we're evaluating our partner in any way. So, so it's not a rigid rule, like I have to be, if they say something funny, you can't help smiling, or sometimes there'll be a profound sharing that's happening, and there might be tears coming in the witness, or different emotions, and so we're not rigid statues. The reason for that rule, the neutrality rule, is just because yeah, we don't want to be evaluating our partner in any way. We want them to feel totally free, and so they're not trying to please their partner, or they're not trying to hold things back because they feel evaluated in any way. And so if you, as the witness, you want to be really, understanding your partner. We want a real communication happening with our partner. So if your partner says something and you really don't get it, like maybe it doesn't make sense, or you just missed it, or maybe your internet connection cut out for a second, then the one thing the witness can do is they can say, "Can you clarify that, please? Can you clarify that, please?" And other than that, the witness is a silent witness. And so when we're doing the inquiry, we want to be especially conscious of when we use words like I, or me, or mine, or myself. And this is something kind of unique with these dyads. Like, we're really trying to find out, who am I? So when I'm inquiring, if I'm using the word I, like, what is that referring to? We really want to go into it. We don't want to use these words just unconsciously, which is what most people do in day-to-day life. They use the word I all the time, to refer to the character, to the conditioned self. So we want to, in these dyads, find out, who do these words point to, and we're not saying get rid of those words, or try to suppress language or anything, but it's just get curious. When these words come up, what are they actually referring to? Who am I? If I'm using that word, who am I? So I'll talk a little bit about facilitators as well. So facilitators may enter your room. As I mentioned, their name will appear on the top right screen. So the facilitators can monitor your dyad. They're just there to make sure you're doing the technique correctly. And sometimes they'll offer pointers if things are not quite on track. And as you go deeper into the practice at the retreat, the role of the facilitator changes throughout the retreat. So as you become kind of more ripe for awakening, certain things start happening in the retreat. The facilitators may give you little pointers. They may sort of interject and with a little question or a pointer. And if they do that, you just simply respond naturally to their prompt, or their question or whatever they're interjecting. And you just stay connected with your partner. So it's just like having just a little, a little disembodied voice will come through sometimes, and just go with it. Go with whatever is coming through. Those pointers can be awesome at the right time. And so after your share, at the end of whatever that cycle is, usually 5 minutes, you just say thank you then to your partner. So that's how they know you're done. So you intend to directly experience who you are. You report what has come up as a result of that inquiry. Really exploring, examining anything that's come up. And once you feel you've had a full sharing, you feel complete in that process, then you just say thank you. You can do a little namaste or whatever. Some people like to do that, and then you just pass it over to your partner. So the person who's inquiring now becomes the witness, and then you get sort of grounded, connect to your own intention to want to know who this being is, and then you say, "Tell me who you are," looking directly into their eyes. Um, so, if sometimes people will feel stuck in this process, if you feel that you're stuck or there's not much coming up, you can some sort of inquire, like, what is the most real thing about this exercise that's coming up for you in this moment? What's the most real thing, that's happening as a result of this? Maybe it's frustration. Maybe the mind is saying, this is crazy. How is this exercise making me feel? It maybe, is there something being held back that wants to be expressed? So, like I said, you can't do it wrong. More and more as we kind of we engage in this clearing process, we tap into a sort of childlikeness. We can, and it's different for everyone. Like, you don't have to try and make anything happen. It just sort of naturally happens. But we found, like, if you just kind of have fun with it, be spontaneous, free with your sharing, there's a lightness that starts to come as you're more and more able to convey who you are. And yeah, as this clearing happens, you can start to really let go of any idea of trying to get it right. The ego mind, it wants to always get things right. And there's this for some people, there's this burden of it's like the little mind will be, trying to become awakened or trying to be enlightened. But that little mind will always fail. That little mind always has to let go. And we enter into what they say in Zen is called a beginner's mind or a don't know mind. So a beginner's mind or a don't know mind is a mind that has given up that burden of trying to awaken, that whole awakening project. And it's a huge relief to the mind. So we can just allow the mind to be a not knowing mind, and really feel the feeling of that freedom from having to do something, having to achieve something. And that feeling is actually the doorway in to the deeper levels. That embodied feeling of freedom is closer to who you truly are than, whatever the mind thinks you are. You know, whatever the mind thinks you are, that's just a thought. You know, so we can let go of that burden of having to know. So we enter into this um, kind of cloud of unknowing in this process, and this deep natural purification starts to happen. Whatever's in the unconscious comes up, and yeah, in these dyads, you may see your partner, especially at the retreats. You very likely will see some partners going through deep emotional releases. So you may be witnessing tears, trembling, waves of release, or that might be you going through that. And if you're a witness for that, you don't have to fix anything. You don't have to, the most compassionate thing you can do for someone is to be that neutral mirror. So you don't want to go into helper mode and try and fix someone or try and take away their pain. Just remain that neutral witness. You don't try and console people or comfort them or yeah, because that release has to unfold. If we just remain as that neutral witness, then everything can just unfold. So it's the most loving and compassionate thing you can do to remain as that witness. And after giving this talk, sometimes I'm always sort of pointing beyond this conditioned mind to the truth of who you are. And sometimes people will get the idea that, the thoughts are not important, when they do this inquiry. So they'll intend to directly experience who they are, and thoughts might start to come up as a result of that inquiry. And they might dismiss those thoughts. It's like, oh, it's just thoughts, it's not important. But you want to share everything that comes up as a result of that inquiry with your partner. So even the thoughts, even the, things that may seem mundane, it might be like pulling a little thread that takes you deeper into the clearing process. So don't evaluate or judge anything that's coming up. And yeah, I'll just leave you maybe with a little quote from Ramana Maharshi. Ramana said, when you first inquire into the self, what you will first encounter is the false self. So that's exactly what happens in this process. And that's exactly what we want. We want to bring the false I into the clear light of awareness. This is how the clearing process happens. You can't force it. Yeah, so the process, once you really get this technique, it's very simple. It's very simple, but it's not easy. So the egoic mind will try to turn away, to seek comfort. There might be tiredness, restlessness, confusion, doubt. All these things may come up in the mind. The mind will, the deeper we go with this process, the mind will be squirming. It'll do anything to try and break this process. And this is natural. The ego wants to be in control. So as the control starts to slip away, this confusion, doubt, all of that, it's part of entering into this don't know mind. It's part of entering into a mind that is not controlling. It's just here, open, and allowing. So we allow all of that, whatever comes up, the frustration, the confusion, blankness in the mind, and then we share it with our partner. That's good fuel for the dyad practice. Just be absolutely honest, unfiltered, spontaneous, and allow this clearing process. And this is the path home, the path to our true nature, to who we are.